What if your medical degree wasn't just a license to practice in one single country, but like a passport to a global career? Well, in this explainer, we're going to break down a specific pathway that's actually designed to make that happen, opening up doors for you to practice in the US, the UK, Canada, and even further. Okay, so that's the big question, right? How do you take this incredible passion you have for medicine and turn it into a career that isn't stuck within one country's borders? I mean, navigating that whole maze of international licensing can seem, well, impossible. But guess what? There is a clear path. So let's get into it. So the answer really lies in a pathway that's been specifically engineered for global practice. We're talking about one single program designed from the ground up to get you ready for licensure in some of the most demanding medical systems on the planet. Think about it: the USA, the UK, Canada, and India. All right, so first things first. Let's zoom out and talk about the big picture. What's the actual philosophy, the core idea behind an education that can create a truly global doctor? And this vision, right here from the Chancellor, Dr. Zora Singh, really sets the tone for everything. See, it's not just about cramming for exams and passing them. It's about building a solid foundation of ethics, research, and a genuine focus on the patient. And honestly, that's the kind of thinking that builds a reputation that's respected all over the world. So a great vision is one thing, but how does it actually become a reality? Well, it all translates into a really structured 5-year journey, a journey that literally takes you from a campus in the Caribbean all the way to clinical rotations in major international hospitals. Let's trace that path together. Okay, so the core program itself is an immersive 5-year MD program. And then after that, you've got the standard 1-year internship that's required for licensure. Pretty straightforward. Now, think of the program as being split into 2 really distinct phases. For the first 3 years, you're on campus in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, just building that super strong foundation in the basic sciences. Then, for years 4 and 5, things get real. You transition to hands-on clinical rotations in these world-class hospitals across the US, the UK, Canada, or India. And that's what really sets the stage for your residency. So, phase 1, this is all about building that foundation. You're mastering the core sciences like anatomy and physiology. But here's the key. The curriculum is strategically designed. It's built to prepare you for 2 really critical hurdles. First, the MBME exit exam, which basically says, yep, you're ready for clinicals. And second, the all-important USMLE Step 1, the big one for the United States. And then you've got phase 2. This is where theory becomes practice, You're in real hospitals, working side by side with doctors, going through rotations in all the major specialties. The entire phase is laser-focused on making sure you succeed on the clinical parts of your licensing exams, things like USMLE Step 2 for the US, and also the PLAB exam, which is the main gateway for international doctors to practice in the UK. Okay, but let's be real for a second. All that amazing training doesn't mean a thing if you don't have the right recognition. A medical degree is truly only as valuable as the doors it can open for you. So let's look at the specific accreditations that actually make all of these global pathways possible. All right, you're gonna see these acronyms pop up everywhere, so let's just demystify them right now. WDOMS and ECFMG. Being listed in the World Directory of Medical Schools and recognized by the ECFMG, well, it's totally non-negotiable if you want to practice in the United States as an international grad. Seriously, this recognition is what makes you eligible to even sit for the USMLE exams. It is, quite literally, the key that unlocks the door. So here's where we connect all the dots. It's actually pretty simple. The program's core accreditations, those are the keys. They directly unlock the licensing exams, which then in turn open the door to practice in these specific countries. So for the US, that ECFMG recognition gets you into the USMLE. For the UK, it aligns you perfectly for the PLAB. And for India, the whole curriculum is built for the next, the National Exit Test, which is the new standard over there. And hey, for any students out there who are aiming to return to India to practice, this is a really critical point. The entire curriculum is built to be fully compliant with the National Medical Commission, the NMC, guidelines. That ensures you have a clear, straightforward pathway back home. Okay, so the structure is solid, the recognition is definitely there, but what really sets this particular program apart from all the other international medical schools out there? Let's dig in to what they call the DBU Americas advantage. Honestly, one of the biggest differences is simply who you work with. With DBU Americas, you get direct admission. That means you are dealing only with the university, no middlemen. This ensures transparent fees, direct mentorship, and a super strict no donation policy.
You get to avoid that confusing and often really costly process of going through third-party agents. And of course, that direct approach has some pretty significant financial perks. That strict no-donation policy is huge, and so is the focus on affordability. Plus, there are scholarships available. For eligible students from India, we're talking about scholarships that can be worth up to 15 lakhs. That makes a world-class education way more accessible. The university also has a whole support system in place, especially for students coming from India. We're talking about specific guidance to help you navigate all that complex paperwork for internships and NMC documentation, just to make sure that pathway back home is as smooth as it can possibly be.
All right, so you've seen the program, you've heard about the advantages, you might be wondering, okay, what's the first step? How do I get started? So let's walk through the application process. But wait, before we jump into the steps, this is a really major point I want to highlight. Unlike a ton of North American medical programs, the IELTS and the MCAT exams are not mandatory for admission here. I mean, that alone removes a huge hurdle for so many international applicants right from the very beginning.
Okay, so the admission process itself is pretty straightforward. First, you submit your application online with all your documents. Then, that goes through a review by the university. If you're shortlisted, you get invited for an interview. The final decision isn't based on just one thing. They take a holistic look at your whole profile. And then, if you get an offer, you've got 5 days to accept and lock in your spot.
And don't worry, you are not going to be left to navigate the whole visa process all by yourself. The university's team is there to support you with your application for St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and also with any other visas you might need for your clinical rotations later on. And look, this isn't just some abstract concept. It's already happening. This quote right here about the pioneers from the class of 2025, it just goes to show that students are on this path right now, taking that bold first step toward their own global careers. And to give you as much flexibility as possible, the program actually has 3 start dates every year: May, September, and January. So you can start your journey whenever the time is right for you. So there you have it. The pathway is pretty clear, right? You've got a rigorous foundation in science that's followed by diverse clinical experience, and it's all backed by the accreditations you need for a truly global career. Really, the question isn't just about where you'll study medicine, it's about how far that degree will take you. In a world that's more connected than ever, maybe the smartest step you can take is choosing a career that has no borders.